5 o'clock on a Wednesday, and it's time for...
The Craig and Ryland Magic Review Show.
I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
Welcome back to another review show right here on...
Magic TV.
And we have 4 new items for you guys to find out about on this week's review show. I'm going to be honest, one of them is not particularly great, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. He doesn't, because he's just not a nice kid, to be honest. He doesn't care, but I care. I care. He doesn't care. I care. Either way, let's get straight on with the review show. Okay, so the first trick that we're going to be looking at is one that I've kind of got mixed feelings on. I really like it. I think it's really clever, but I think there's not going to be a million places that you can do it. And I'm talking about Unliftable. So if you don't know what Unliftable is, it's been heavily promoted at the moment by Penguin Magic, and you can pick it up directly from Penguin Magic. What it is it's a trick. It's based on the old light-heavy concept, which is where there's a box on the table and somebody can't lift it up until you want them to lift it up. If you remember Izzy Simpson in her edition, she actually did a version of that to Simon Cowell. Remember, she put a big box on the judge's desk.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't pick it up, and then she took a pack of cards out, and now all of a sudden he could pick it up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah? Well, this is that. And normally when you see the light-heavy sort of concept, where you see that sort of concept, it's normally done on stage, and, you know, there's various different ways of achieving it, from electromagnets and, you know, all different methods. But this is a close-up version of that light-heavy concept, where you can literally do it close-up, and it's built into a deck of cards. Now, before we talk anything about this, you performed this on your sister and freaked her out. So let's have a look at a performance of this. This was literally just done on our kitchen table. But you'll understand why we did it there in a second. So let's have a look at a performance of this Unliftable, and then we'll talk about what we think.
Here, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I've got a card box. Now, as you can see, this card box is completely and totally empty, which is why, if you just pick it up my hand, it's really light, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really light. Yeah. Now, I want you to look straight into my eyes. I'm going to hypnotise you. Now you've lost all of your strength, okay? Just try and pick that card box up. Hold it like that and try and pick it up. You see, it's impossible. You're using your strength. Look. Try again. Look, try. It's really hard, isn't it? It's really hard. Yeah. It's really, really hard. But look, you look. It's fine, because if you look, it's easy to pick up. It's easy to look. I'll tell you what. Just pick it up my hand. Look, I'll unhypnotise you. Now I'll pick it up. Because it's really light, isn't it?
Yeah.
What?
Now, you really like this, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Let's talk about the pros and the cons, because the pros are, it is a very good trick. It does work. It works exactly as you saw Ryland do it. You are in control of the prop the entire time. So in other words, when you put it down on the surface, they are not going to be able to pick it up until you want them to pick it up. And even then, you know, it's under your control the whole time, which is really good. Now, the gimmick is built into a deck of into a card box. It is a normal card box. So when you did it in that video, you had no cards inside it, but you could have a deck of cards inside there.
Yeah.
You could take the cards out, or even leave the cards in, do this routine, and then go into whatever card routine you want to go into. So from that point of view, it's very practical. The card box itself can't really be examined, can it? You can show it very, very cleanly. You can show the card box, because how it's gimmicked in a way that you can kind of flash it on the one side of it. If they looked at the one side, it wouldn't tell them exactly how the trick worked, but they'd realise that they'd get an idea, right? The other side and the sides of it, and on the top of it where the bicycle logo, they're not going to see a thing. But
well, one of the sides, like not the bottom, but like one of the sides around.
Yeah. But again, it's hidden very well.
Yeah, you're not really going to see it.
It's not really going to see it. So you can flash both sides, put it down on the table, and then you're into it. But it can't be examined. You couldn't do what you just did on Thea, and then pick it up at the end, and then give them the box and have them look at it. Could you? You couldn't do that. You'd have to have pretty good audience management, to be perfectly honest, because I imagine if you put a box down on the table and they try and pick it up and they can't, and then you go and pick it up, they'd want to look at the box.
Yeah.
And there's certain tricks that get released to the Magic community where something happens, but it doesn't really matter that much that it's not examinable because the emphasis isn't on the prop.
Yeah.
But I think people would want to examine that box. If you went and tried to pick up a card box and couldn't, and then the magician could, I think they'd want to look at the card box. Yeah. And the problem is, if they look at the card box, they're going to see how it works. I don't think they would want to look at the card box because they understand what the method is. They might think there's magnets in the card box or something. That's something to take into consideration.
You can show the card box empty.
You can show the card box very empty, or put a deck of cards into it. Or if you wanted to, you could go into something else immediately. So you could have the cards in the box, do this, then take the cards out, put the emphasis on the cards, have them shuffle the cards and just put the box away. Or if you've got a really good switch for box that you could do, you can switch the card box and get into it that way. But the biggest, I don't want to call this a negative. It's not a negative, but it's something that people need to be aware of. There are a limited amount of places that you can actually perform this. Because of how the method works, it needs to be on a kind of a non-porous, smooth surface. Like a hard surface is what it needs to be placed onto. So the reason we did it on the kitchen table is because we know that on the kitchen table we have one of those black mats that are designed to put food on when you're putting hot food on there. And that was the perfect surface, and we just wanted to demonstrate it for you guys. That, in essence, would not be the best place to do the trick normally, because you wouldn't want to pick if they tried hard enough to pick up the card box, they wouldn't be able to pick up the card box, but they might be able to actually pick up the actual thing that you put it at the mat underneath.
If you're doing it like on a glass table, like you can't really pick a tiny card box and like lift. You can do it, but it's like if you do it, the table's gonna just slip straight away. Yeah,
so you can and that's really important to understand. So a glass server, if you've got a restaurant residency and there's glass tables everywhere, that's absolutely fantastic. Or if it's a hard sort of smooth surface, you're good. This wouldn't work.
Like the marble table.
Yeah, a marble table or something, that would work. I don't think a wood table would work very well. You'd need to experiment. But that limits the amount of places that you can actually do this in. That's the problem that you need to be aware of. Like, I remember them demming this at Blackpool, and I didn't buy it. And the reason I didn't buy it is because I went over, and this is the other thing that's worth noting. If you've got somebody that's, like, really strong, or somebody who's determined to pick it up, they could pick it up, couldn't they? Like, if they...
Yeah.
You did. If you were like, oh, right, I'm determined to pick it up, and you just like, picked it up. Or if you slid it to the edge of the table. If it was on a table and it will slide very easily.
If you've got one of the glass tables with like a wooden edge, you can't really do that. Because sometimes it's like sometimes the glass is like inwards and the table's literally just like a millimetre above.
Yeah, so exactly. That would work. But that's why I didn't pick it up, because I saw a couple of people go over it and actually were able to pick it up. But I think that again comes down to audience management. The bottom line is, this is an incredibly clever method for a trick. That what they have successfully done is built the light heavy concept into a card box, and the method that they've used to do this is genius. And I'm really surprised other people haven't come up with this before. And there's a lot of things to love about this. It's built into a regular card box that holds a deck of cards. The gimmick is almost invisible. It will, once you have the right surface, put the audience into a situation where they cannot pick it up. If you've got a pseudo hypnotism presentation or something like this will work really well. In many ways, it's very practical, and because it uses a deck of cards, you could then go into a card routine and put all the emphasis on the cards and, just put the box away. And I think that there's going to be people that buy this and they're going to absolutely love it. Me personally, I'm not going to do this. I rarely perform magic unless I'm actually being paid to perform. Unless I'm doing a professional gig, I don't perform very often. Sometimes to friends, family, obviously an awful lot around the office. But outside of that, I'm normally performing magic where I'm paid to perform magic. And a lot of the places where I'm paid to perform, it's either walk around or it's tables with tablecloths on. This just wouldn't be appropriate for me. So I'm not going to do this. This is something I'm not going to do. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I do. But if you live in a house and you've got like a glass table, if you live in a house as opposed to what, a cave? If you live in, if you have a glass table inside your house,
if you live in a mansion and have a marbled or glass table,
then you're fine.
And you have
yeah,
friends.
exactly. But if you have a glass table or a table that this is appropriate for, and you like doing magic to friends that come round,
you have a brand new iPad there.
It would work on an iPad actually. Yeah, good point. But I'm not going to do it.
Brand new arcade machine.
I think this is I think this is better for people that perform informally as opposed to people that perform professionally. I think.
Yeah.
But
people that perform at home.
Yeah, but I really like it. It's just I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to give it 79%. It's the highest mark that I can give something if I'm not going to do it. I like it. I love it. I'd recommend it. It works. There's things to take into consideration. It's just I personally wouldn't do it.
I'm going to give it 98%.
You are going to do it?
Yes.
I think this is the sort of thing that you would take to school and mess your friends' heads up with. Am I right with this?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to take away your ability. What? Honestly, I think that you could get people screaming with this. Right time, right place. The other place that this might work is if you're doing a trade show and you're in control of the table that you're going to be using at the trade show when you're doing your trade show act.
What's that?
What's a trade show act?
Yeah.
It's a long, complicated story that we'll get to another time. It's a type of magic that you've never done. You might do it one day, you never know. But don't worry about that right now. But if you perform at trade shows, this might be, or if you do wedding fairs on a regular basis, and you can control the table that you've got at a wedding fair, and I think this is something that would create a lot of intrigue. But for me, 79%. For him, 98%. You're going to mess his mate's heads up. So there you go. That's the first review. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the second review we have is Pop Vanish 2. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Ryland's taking the lead on this review, and also, you're not going to see a performance because Ryland's been working on this for about 2 weeks now. Had a little strop, had a little tantrum last Sunday when he
trying to fix it.
He spent about 3 hours trying to fix the gimmick, and then he was just like, "This is stupid. I'm not going to perform it. I give up." So, do you want to talk to me about Pop Vanish 2? What the effect is?
So basically, the effect is you can make a card disappear.
Okay, how? Like,
so basically, you've got this card, and it's just like a joker.
Yeah.
And it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
It's on top of your deck, and you can say, "Look, I've got this card. It's got a hole in it." You put it on the deck. But first of all, you get someone to pick a card. You put the card on top of the deck.
Yeah.
Okay, and you pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pick it up, but you do the thing with the gimmick, so it looks like you picked it up. Put those cards aside, so you can see it looks like their card. It's on there, and you just do that, and it's completely and totally vanished.
So now all they see is the card with the hole in it.
All they see now is the card with the hole, and it's back in the middle of the deck.
Okay. So basically, in essence, what this effect is you make the card disappear. So it's basically, I mean, there's a million different ways of making a card disappear and appear in a deck. But what we have here is we have a specially gimmicked card with a big hole in the middle. So you've got that moment of the vanish. You've got where they pick a card, they see it behind the hole, boom, it vanishes and it's back in the deck.
You can see it from this side, it's gone. You can see it from above, which looks better because it looks like there's you can see the whole card. You got the whole card without the hole in the middle, so you can see it's like there, and then it's completely and totally vanished. It's a nice concept, really. It's a nice concept. But
what's the problem?
It's not.
Well, first of all,
the thread. It's
go on.
Uses the invisible thread. Obviously, like how is it going to work without invisible thread? Obviously.
So it's like a flap system.
It's a flap system, yeah. It's not the thread that snapped. Basically, the inside, which basically makes it look like the card is there. So like the middle of the King of Hearts, it just comes off straight away. It's like, because I don't know what they've used, but it just comes off straight away.
Okay.
Like as soon as you start using it, it literally just one side comes off. You try to fix that side and the other side comes off. I tried to fix it with some tape, but it still looks just terrible.
And how long's the tutorial?
About, I think it's...
I remember you saying it wasn't very long, like 7 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Does the tutorial talk about how to fix it?
I think it may... I don't think... It doesn't talk about how to put the flat back in place, but it might talk about invisible thread. I don't know if it does, though.
Right, okay.
I don't know if it does.
But this thing broke literally 5 minutes into practicing,
yeah,
right?
I as soon as we looked at it, one side came off, but it was okay. But when I went in there and I tried to fix that one side, because it wasn't really working, so when I went to fix this one side, the other side stopped working, and it just came off, and then the whole thing just came off, and now all I've left is a joker with a hole. When I do the thing with the flap, there's a king with a hole.
Yeah.
That just looks terrible.
Dear me. Okay, and that's not even the thread breaking, because the thread potentially could break as well, because that's what happens with the visible thread over time, it breaks. The other thing is, when you were practicing and it was working for the first 5 minutes, and I watched the tutorial with you, the handling looked kind of crap. It was kind of like, okay, that card, the moment where you apparently take the card...
When you take in the card, you've got to go like that and cover it completely with like your hand, because it's like on the top. You got to set it up. So you got to set it up in the performance. So you got to go like that and cover it to show it and put the cards down. So it's like...
Yeah, it doesn't look very good at all.
No.
So, I mean, there's the problem. That's why we're not actually performing this for you guys.
It just broke.
It just broke.
And
you tried to fix it.
I did kind of fix it, but the tape, even with the tape, it still looks terrible.
So there's the problem. It broke. I'm pretty sure we reviewed the original Pop Vanish and that broke as well, but I'm not too sure. We've reviewed so much stuff on there. But in essence, what you have, I genuinely believe that when you bring a trick out, it needs to add to like magic. It needs to add something, yeah. And all you have here is a vanish. In essence, a card vanishes and appears in the middle of the deck, right?
Yeah, it's just basically...
There's no other ideas for it.
You can do that.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Have a big enough hand to palm. Basically, I can do it right now. Just take a pack of cards, get them to pick a card. You can do it with any card. Take the card, show them the card, put it on top.
Yeah.
Well, make it look like you put it on the top, but put it at the second.
Well, dude, there's a million ways.
Do a double lift.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's on top, turn it back over, take it so it's not the right card, give it a little shake and it vanishes, and it's in the middle.
There's a million ways. There's an absolute million ways of vanishing a card visually and having it go into the middle of the deck. For example, take a double back card, put some plastic dip over it, and have them pick a card from the deck, have them sign it, do a double turnover, so you're dealing the double backer onto the table. That goes away into the deck, and now that's in the middle.
Easy.
Take two jokers, put it on one on either side of the double backer, and boom, because the blasted dip, it's vanished visually in between the two jokers. There's a million ways of doing it. Million different ways.
The point is, it's terrible, and we're not going to give it a good percentage.
Well, no, it breaks. It doesn't really add anything new other than this vanish.
Yeah.
And in order to get to the point where you're doing the vanish, it's very cozy and
you're doing stuff that doesn't look great in the middle of performing.
yeah, it's just not good. And it's another example of somebody bringing out a trick where it's serious quality control issues. So the trick doesn't work. The handling is terrible. The tutorial is awful. There's no live performances. It breaks within 5 minutes. There's not really any information on how to fix it if it does break. And even if it was working flawlessly, it's not even that impressive anyway. It gets 0% from me. Do not buy it, whatever you do. We've wasted our money on this. What would you say?
I think it's terrible.
0?
Minus a million plus Tulin squared.
Minus a million plus Julian squared from Ryland. 0% from me. It's not very good, but let's talk now about something that is very good. Okay, so next up, we have the Rough and Smooth Index by Eddie Raymond. Now, this is a card index. There have been a million card indexes. Cheetah's come out. Dex has come out by Lloyd Barnes and Javier Fuenmeyer.
That's sick. I like
Dex. I've been using Dex. I know a lot of people, some people did not like Dex. Some
Dex
people,
is cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into why people did and didn't like Dex. I've been working with Dex since I first got it. I've been swearing by Dex. I know people were concerned about a quality control issue because of rubber bands. I've not had that issue at all. But hey, it's your opinion. If you don't like Dex, that's fine. This is a Rough and Smooth Index that was sent to us by Eddie Raymond. We didn't go out and buy this. Eddie sent it to us for review with a really nice letter saying, hey, wanted you to see this, blah, 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 blah. And I'd never really seen... I'd heard people talking about the Rough and Smooth Index on the Magic Cafe. Never seen it before. I was like, well, you know what? It's going to have to be pretty good to beat Dex because I've spent the last X amount of months practicing this now.
I don't think it beats Dex, but I still think it's really,
Actually,
really
you know what? I'm not going to say it's... I think it's got... I love Lloyd. I love Javier. I think that this is easier to learn and get on with than Dex. I'm not too sure. I know you've never done Dex.
Yeah, but I know how it works.
You know how it works.
Yeah, I think...
You said to me you were going to do this one instead of Dex because it's easier to use.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know whether I'd use this one because I've spent so long working on Dex that I've kind of got used to it. But damn, this is so easy to use. Basically, what it is let me just.
No, there's no instructions on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
Don't show how it works.
I'm just going to show them the size of the index. This is the size of the index right here. Now, this holds 52 cards. It holds all of the cards. You can pull out a pair. Like, for example, if I said to you, name a value, and they said sevens, and you go, would you like the red sevens or the black sevens? You can pull out a pair very, very easily. Yeah. You can pull out a four of a kind. And it is so much easier to get to that card than decks.
I think I might have come up with an index, but I think it might be the same as Lloyd's.
Okay, well, we can talk about that at some point. This says on here, the world's fastest, most intuitive and versatile card index. I would say that Eddie talks about on the tutorial that an index doesn't need to be fast, but this thing is very, very fast. It really is. And here's the thing. With decks, I spent quite a while learning how to get each individual card. It took me a couple of weeks maybe to get smooth with it, and not smooth with it, just be able to do it regularly every single time. With this, I had it like within 10 minutes, and you did. Within 10 minutes, Thea was testing. It was like, name a card, boom, name a card, boom, name a card, boom. And how it works, the fact that the cards are paired in roughed pairs, and because of the tab system, it means that you can literally just go, as soon as they hear the value, you know where your fingers have got to go. Because of the way that and I'm going to show this, I think it's really important to show it, because of the way that these come up here like this and they're stepped downwards, you can literally go straight in and you can go boom, and you can just hit whatever you want to immediately. It's so intuitive, it really, really is. And you can pull out a four of a kind, you pull out a pair. Ryland, you've been using this now for about 2 or 3 days. And you've had it in your pocket walking around for 2 or 3 days. He's lightning fast with this. I'm just going to show you a video of him doing this from your back pocket. This is from your back pocket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just outside. He did this for Instagram. I just want to show you how quick it is. And this is not set up by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know Eddie Raymond at all. I've got no reason to set this up. But this is Ryland doing it after a couple of days practice. And to be honest, you got this fast after about an hour, didn't you?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this video.
Hi, my name's Ryland the Kid Magician. I've got a dad behind the camera. Dad, can you name any card? I've got one card in my pocket, one card. Name any card.
Any card?
Any card.
4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds. Okay, now you sure you want the 4 of diamonds?
Yes, I do.
Well, you see, inside my pocket, I actually do have one card. And that one card is the 4 of diamonds.
Pros and cons, very, very quickly. So, what Dex has going for it is the tutorial is much better. Dex, Lloyd and Javier go through hours of material, so many different applications of the index. This is a 10-minute tutorial on YouTube teaching you how the index uses. There's no real routines as such. There's no real theory behind using an index. There's nothing like that. What the tutorial does in 10 minutes, it teaches you exactly what you need to do to get to every card every single time. So when it comes to the tutorial, Dex is a lot better. When it comes to the price, Eddie Raymond's Rough and Smooth Index is a lot cheaper. It's made very well. The one I've received, I don't know what that's made out of. I think it might be cardboard with tape, sort of gaffer tape type stuff, which is fine. We've had this in our pockets for a while. It works really well. I would say if you've never used an index before and all you're concerned about is getting to the point where you can actually use it in the real world, you are going to have an easier time with this than you will with any other index, including Dex, including Cheetah, including anything. You're going to have an easier time. The learning curve is so much greater on this because of the tab system and because of the fact the cards are rough and smooth. You can literally go boom, card, boom, card, boom, card. And resetting it back into there is very, very simple as well. With Dex, I've learned how to reset it by just putting the card into my pocket. This, you might be able to do that with this, but I would advise you to take it out, and it'll take just a couple of seconds to reset. But look, this is the world's fastest. I would agree it's very, very fast. I don't know if it's the fastest, but it's very, very fast. Most intuitive, I'd agree with that. Versatile, yeah, I mean, this is great. I'm not going to do it. Only because I've put so much time and effort into Dex. It's a little bit like I see other memorized decks come out that offer all these different advantages, and I'm like, I'm never going to stop learning Mnemonica to learn those. I've already learned Mnemonica in my head. Why would I do a different one? Yeah. Even if there's advantages. But, and you know, so I'm going to give it 79%. But you didn't really learn decks, did you?
No. So
what are you giving it?
I think I'm using this.
You're going to use that instead?
Yeah. I'm going to give it 99%.
99%.
Plus Tulin.
Plus Tulin. 99% plus Tulin. That is a really good mark. Look, if you're looking for a really well-priced index, the Rough and Smooth index is very, very good. Just don't expect a big tutorial. If you want a big tutorial, if you want stuff like that, go to Dex. But if you're wanting something that will work, and it will work, and it'll be reliable 100% of the time, and you can learn it a lot quicker, then get the Rough and Smooth index. It's genius. The way, it is very clever, the way that the cards are roughed together to do that. It's genius. Eddie, if you're watching this, this is a freaking amazing idea. My virtual caps. There you go. One of those. Eddie, you get one of those. There you go. One of those.
Very good.
Very good. Right, so the final trick today, we have Invisible Triumph. Now, this got released in 2017. It's only just come back out again. Vanishing Ink have re-released it. It was originally out through Vanishing Ink. They've re-released it. Vanishing Ink have brought it back out again. Invisible Triumph is basically a triumph. It's a triumph routine where you can actually see that the cards are being mixed face up into face down. Now, I don't want to say much about this. I'm going to show you a performance. Let's have a look at a performance of Invisible Triumph, and then we'll talk about what we think. Okay, I've got Ry behind the camera, and I'm going to show him a trick with a deck of cards. Ry, you can see they're all there. They're all different, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you pick a card in a minute, because I'm going to show you a classic of Magic that was originally invented by a guy called Di Vernon many, many years ago. And it involves you picking a card. So as I cut packets onto the table, just say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
There? Can you look at that card for me?
Yeah.
Nice. So I'm going to take the deck and cut it into 4 approximately equal piles. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can put your card into one of those piles. Which pile do you want to put the card into, right? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
Your left.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to pop it right there, and remember your card. Do you want me to shuffle the cards or leave them as they are?
Shuffle.
Shuffle them?
Yeah.
And if you were in front of the camera, you could actually do this shuffling yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to carry on, or is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to shuffle that pile face down into one of these other piles face up. 1, 2, 3. Which one?
2.
2. This one here? Okay. But and this concept of shuffling the cards face up into face down like this, this is the trick that was invented by Di Vernon, and normally when magicians do this, they'll give them a very special shuffle, and they won't let you see that the cards really are being shuffled face up into face down. The reason I'm doing it like this is I want you to see that I really am shuffling the cards face up into face down. You can see that, right? There's no ambiguity there, really are mixed up. Now I'm going to speed things up a bit. I'm going to shuffle these face up into face down as well. Like that. Yes. Ooh, hang on. So I'm not very good at shuffling, apparently. I'll do that again. There we go. That's a better shuffle. And then I'll do the same thing here. I'll shuffle these face up into face down. There you go. And I want you to see once again that they really are being mixed face up into face down. So there's some cards face up, some cards face down, cards mixed up face up into face down. But watch. If I snap my fingers, now every single card is facing the right way, except for one card and one card only. I want you to see that. You can see every single card is facing the right way. It's an absolute triumph. All of the cards facing the right way, except for one card and one card only. That card right there. For the first time, Ryland, what was the name of your card?
The Joker.
That is an absolute miracle. So that looks very clean, doesn't it? I mean, that looks very, very clean. Because you can actually see the cards being mixed face up into face down. There's no ambiguity. It looks very, very clean. I got to be honest with you. I like it.
I think it's a very good concept.
I think it's a great concept. I'm not going to do this. And I'll tell you why I'm not going to do it.
I would just use the non-gimmick triumph. Back to the Future,
Yeah.
The one where you can take a photo, I would use them. I would use my usual, the photo one, and Back to the Future one.
Yeah.
I would use all of them.
You'd use those
over
instead.
this, just because none of them are gimmicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Apart from the photo one, but that's better because you can see when they take the photo.
Yeah.
So that one's just better.
I know you. Here's the thing. This is a fully gimmick deck. Now, I've got no problem with using a fully gimmick deck for Triumph.
The only thing is, do you know with the photo one, it's like a cheeky deck?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to say cheeky is...
Yeah. It's a cheeky deck. But with a cheeky deck, there's other routines. With this, you can't really do anything else.
No, there's just one routine,
so that's why I'll do the photo one, because it's a cheeky deck, and you can have other routines with it. Like, you can do a bunch of routines, and you can then swap it out for a normal deck. With this one, I guess you could swap it out for a normal deck, but it's only really one routine.
Yeah. He's right. I do cheat to cheat. I bought a project out called Cheeky, which is a collection of routines with the cheat to cheat deck, and I use that all of the time. It's actually in my lecture at the moment, and you use that. I know you do. If I'm going to use a gimmick deck, a lot of the time I'm going to use Cheeky. Now, the deck that we're actually using here, because it's taking part of an invisible deck concept to be able to do this without giving too much away. Now, that's great. And you know what? When I actually bought out my Project Visible, I actually put a Triumph on there using a paper bag that achieved the same sort of thing. Yeah.
What?
And it was one of the first things I bought out when I came back to the Magic community. And I put on there a Triumph with with an invisible deck, and it was based on Shake and Bake by oh my god, and I got permission as well, and he's one of my favourite magicians of Workman Act. He did the Workman Act. I can't remember his name. We'll put it down below. Steve Bedwell, sorry. So it was based on Shake and Bake by Steve Bedwell, and I actually got permission from Steve Bedwell to include that on the project.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. And it's the idea of showing a deck of cards, mixing them face up and face down, dropping them in a bag, shaking them up, showing that they're all mixed up, and then when you bring them out, they're all facing the right way except for one card, which is great. It works really, really well. And it's perfect for a stand-up performance because you've got the bag and everything's happening up here. For a stand-up act, it's great. And I actually do this in Parlour and in Cabaret instead of using any other handlings of Triumph. The problem that we have here, we have the same methodology, but applied to a close-up performance. And the problem with doing this in a close-up performance, when you're doing it on stage, no one's going to come up and say, can I look at that deck of cards? Because the problem is, the routine the invisible Triumph routine that we're looking at here, the cards aren't actually shuffled face up and face down. Like, the cards aren't actually sorted out. Now, it looks like it's sorted out to the spectator, but they're not actually sorted out properly. And all it takes is for a spectator to say, can I have a look at that deck of cards? And you're not going to be able to show it to them because the deck is left in a very, very gimmicked state. Now, with Shake and Bake and my variation of Shake and Bake, that's not too much of a problem because it happens on stage. The spectator's shaking the bag and they're mixing the cards face up and face down themselves. And it's a named card. It's a thought of named card. Yeah, it's really good. It's a thought of named card. So rather than just saying, rather than having them pick a card, you shuffle the cards face up into face down, you put them into the thing, you shake it up like this, and then you take them out. They're all facing the right way, except for the card that they've freely named. So because it's a freely named card, there's less emphasis on the deck, especially as you're performing it for more of it. It'd be great for your show on stage.
Yeah, it would.
With this particular routine, as I say, it's not a named card because of how the routine works. It can't be a named card. It's I don't, they pick a card. They don't have the card named. And the problem is, it's such a clean shuffling procedure, which it is. It is a very clean shuffling procedure. I just think doing it close up, if you were doing this in a mix and mingle situation, I think somebody would say, can I have a look at those cards? Yeah. And you wouldn't be able to show it them.
And they're rough. They would feel the roughing.
Yeah, well, not only, you wouldn't even get that far. They'd just start spreading through them and they'd see they're still face up and face down. It works because the magician knows how to spread the cards when they're in this condition.
I understand.
So it's a genius concept. Yeah, it's a really, really clever concept.
It's a clever concept.
But if I was going to do, in a walk-around situation,
Yeah.
I do the Triumph that I put on my Penguin Live and my Vanishing Ink Masterclass, which is a regular deck of cards, ended up with a 4 of a card production. That's what I do, because it's a regular deck and I can go into any other routine that I want to. Perfect. When I'm in a kind of more of a formal close-up situation, a lot of the time I'll do cheeky, and I'll do that sort of routine. In a walk-around situation, a lot I'll do cheeky with the photo, like you do. If I'm on stage, I do my version of shake and bake. But a lot of the time, you want to try and make sure in a close-up situation, because the problem with this, how long's the reset for this?
About a minute and a half.
You have to take quite a while to reset the
You can't just go to the bathroom.
The thing with the cheeky deck is it's just one cut and it's reset. With this, it's like a 2 or 3 minute reset.
Yeah,
You're
the
going to have
deck, it's literally just...
Yeah, you're done, right? With this, it's a couple of minutes. Yeah. Exactly. And the problem is, if it was a collection of routines with this concept, I'd go, okay, right, because that's what I've done. You know, Visible is a collection of routines with the Invisible deck. Cheeky is a collection of routines with the Cheek-to-Cheek deck. But this is just one routine with this deck. And that's the only routine you get. It's like a 20-minute tutorial, and that's it.
I'm going to give it...
So I just think that there's better ways of achieving this. There's not so much substance on the tutorial.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a gimmick deck that allows you to do a really clean Triumph, I know I'm promoting my own stuff here, but I'd go with cheeky because there's like 10 different routines on there. Now, if you want to go for something like this, by all means, this is going to work. Don't get me wrong. You saw the performance. This is going to work. And this is a genius way of actually getting into a situation of doing a Triumph without actually any manipulation. But honestly, I just think it lacks substance. I'm not going to do it. I think it's 0%. I think that's been a bit harsh.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was going to say,
I don't know if it deserves 0%, but...
I'm going to give it 50%. It's not terrible, and it's a really clever idea, but I just think it's something that's a little bit unworkable. 40% from Ryland, 50% from me. Let's wrap this up.
There's no research in the bag. There's no research in the bag. There's no research in the bag.
It is another tattoo. It is another review. It is another review show in the bag. Guys, thank you once again for joining us right here on Magic TV. We'll be back next week with another review show. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You want to go and follow Ryland on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just go to Ryland the Kid Magician. You want to follow me on all the various different platforms. It's Magic TV, Craig Petty's Magic TV, some variation thereof. And don't forget, you can go and join the Netrix by going to www.thenetrix.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. I'm Craig.
I'm Ryland.
We'll see you again. Take care. Bye, everyone.